Hey everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today we're going to be playing with a couple of the new Spellbinders club kits. We're playing with the stencil of the month, and this is what it looks like. It comes with 5 stencils, and they all coordinate obviously together to make a really beautiful floral scene. They're great. You'll see them when we get started. And then we're also playing with the wax seal of the month. This one is a rectangular one, which is so unique. And so this is what it looks like. It says hello, which is perfect because it's got a sentiment right on it, so you don't have to try and find a sentiment if you're not inclined to do so. And so let me pull this out and show you how neat it is. I think I only have one other. It's like I think I have a square one. I don't know that I have a rectangle one. And then I do have an oval one. So it's kind of neat when they're something other than just a circle. But there is a little bit of a learning curve when you're doing those. So, and we'll talk about that. This is the wax seal beads that I got with my kit. It's the pink combination. It actually has fuchsia, magenta, cotton candy, and golden in there. So yeah, it's a good combo of beads. I'm going to bring in my waffle flower grip mat. I've been using that a lot lately for my stencils, and then I'm going to bring in the stencil. So I thought I grabbed the first one because I was like, oh, I don't know if these are even marked, but they actually are marked. There is a number in the upper right hand corner right underneath the little edge marks so that you can line it up with your paper. And so I'll switch that out and I'll grab number 1. I don't think you have to do it in any particular order, but you know, if you're one of those people that's like, well, there's a reason for that. Maybe there is. I tried to grab colors, distress inks that would match a little bit the beads that I had, and I actually didn't do a very good job. So you'll see that when I pull in my purple and pinks there. I'm going to start off with this color here, just blending on a little bit of green. I think it's pine needles. I don't remember entirely. I just kind of grabbed some colors and had fun. So I'm blending on my darker color first, and then I'm going to wipe off my blending buddy in between. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going on to a lighter green. And so because I'm doing that, I don't want to have too much of that darker green over onto the lighter green. So then we'll line up our stencil. It's actually pretty easy. There is the lines, like I said, the like edge marks up in the upper right and left hand corner. And so then you just line it up there, and then you push around the edge for this waffle flower grip mat, and then I'll blend on that next color, which I think is Evergreen Bough. And then we'll pull that stencil away and we can start working on the flowers. That first color I chose is actually Milled Lavender. I know I have some pinks in my stash of inks that probably would have worked really well with this. Probably my Simon Hurley Create inks would have worked really well. I don't know why I just insisted, or maybe I just wasn't thinking, just insisted on using these distress inks, and they are pretty. I think this card actually ends up being really beautiful. But I'll bring in my purple blending buddy, and I try to wipe those off because it seems like most of the time when I'm using these colors, I've picked vibrant colors when I'm blending. And because I have a blending buddy for each color family, you know, I do need to try and pay attention to like what color might be coming off of there so that I don't get too much contamination. So then we'll move on to the next one. This is a Victorian Rose, I believe, is the color that I chose. And it's going to give a nice pinky purple center to those flowers. Really like that. And then the final stencil, I actually decided to use brushed corduroy on it because I was trying to get it to look almost golden without using a gold ink, which you could do that as well. You got some options. So I just blended that on with my brown blending buddy. And is it gold? No, but it gives the kind of the, when I put the gold paper on that I use, it kind of, they go together. So, all right. Blending the rest of that. I end up making another background. I'll show you that here in a second. I'm not going to show you the whole process because it's just the same process. But the other one that I chose is some different greens and then blue flowers. So I'll peel off my paper, but take a look at how pretty that looks. It's a really neat stencil. And there is the other one I made using some blues. Really happy with how that one turned out also. So before we get started making the cards, we need to make the wax seals. So I've brought in my sealed kit, and then I don't use, I've said this many times, I don't use an open flame in here because I have cats, and obviously there's lots of paper in here. And I know that people have talked about an electric warmer, but my heat gun works fine, so I haven't delved into that quite yet. So I'm heating up a couple of those beads. I've decided to put 5 in there because I wasn't sure to do this rectangle how many that would actually take. And so this is where you just kind of have to play around quite a bit. And then play around with your colors too. You maybe want to use a couple more light or one less dark or more dark. The ones I end up making are really pretty. So I'm going to start off here, and it wasn't enough. You'll see once I put the seal on top of it, it doesn't quite fill out, but that's okay. What's really great about these wax seals is that you can cut them up once they're dry and you can reheat them, try again. You don't have to keep it. And so I don't love it, so I'm actually just going to cut it in half, and I'll use half of it in with the other 4, which ends up being too much. I couldn't find a happy medium when I was doing these pinks. When I got to the blues, I was, I think, a little more successful, but it's a learning curve. So again, I'm just trying to make it look like a rectangle so that the whole bit of the hello will show. So it's, kind of a rectangle, and then it's too much. It was too much wax, but that's okay. It really is okay. So then I just make more. And I had so much fun playing. I was listening to an audiobook and just heating up some wax beads and seeing what I could come up with and what color combos I liked best. But with this one, I decided I'm going to cut off the edges, which you can do that. And then you're left with a flatter, without the puffy edge that says hello. And I really like how that turned out, to be honest with you. It'll look even cooler once we color the wording. All right, so there are 2 more that I made. They're, like I said, fairly thick on the edges, but it's okay. I'm going to clean out my little spoon, and then we're going to move on to some blues. And as you can see, I made a few of the blues as well. And Miles is part of the reason why I can't have an open flame because he needs to be there. All right, so I am using some DecoColor pens. I've got gold and I've got silver, and I'm starting with gold here. I wanted to see how it would look to color the whole outside edge, and I'm going to be honest, I don't love this. I think the edges are just too thick for it. If they were not so thick, it would look better, in my opinion. I really like how this one turned out. And then I'll just finish up the rest of the pinks with the gold. And then I can save those for later. But that's what all 4 of those look like that I did up with the gold. And then I'm working with the silver now on the blue. And that's what all 4 of those look like with the silver. Really pretty, honestly. And so now I'm going to start assembling my cards. Those were cut down to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And so that's the full front of an A2 size card. I did cut down some gold mirror cardstock that I had, just a couple strips. I thought that was plenty. I didn't need a whole lot. And I'm going to use my glass mat to line those up, try to get those as straight as possible. And then I'll grab in a card base, and I'll trim off the excess of that cardstock. And then I can glue this down to the front of that card base. That card base measured 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. And that's going to take up the full front of that A2 size card. And then I can just use my liquid glue to adhere down the wax seal. It looks so good on there. Love how that pops. And then this one, I just had some cardstock, some specialty cardstock from Tonic in my stash. I need to start using that stuff more. This is a silver foiled craft, and I thought that went so beautifully with our wax seal that has the silver pen on it. It's so good. And so then we have another card base. We're going to attach this down to the front of it. My seal's going to fall off, but that's okay. that glue will hold. It's just, it was still wet. So I guess my question is, do you guys have any of the club kits from Spellbinders? If you do, which is your favorite one? I think I really love the stencil just because the cost effectiveness of it. It's so pretty. And the wax seal is just fun. It's different. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you love this video. If you do, hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you very soon.